one time at my house, I was in my house at night, and I could hear like in the wall, I could hear like something chewing, like crunk, crunk, crunk.
That's what chewing sounds like.
Yeah, if you're chewing wood, that's what it sounds like. And I was like, what the fuck is that? So I walk over to it and I hear it like cronk, cronk, cronk.
Is it a robot?
So then I'm like, I don't know what to do because it sounds in the wall. So I just start punching the wall and like, get out of there.
Get out of there.
Get out of my home.
Get out of my house.
I had been drinking, right? So I started punching the wall.
You started a fist fight with your wall?
And it stopped.
I don't think there was an animal in the wall. I think Gus was just really
The
drunk.
noise stopped. So I was like, oh shit, it worked. So like I run outside, I don't know why, I run outside and I look on my roof and there's like a pipe right there coming out of the roof, like one of those like gas pipes, and like sitting on top of it is a giant rat. It's just like hunched over, like I could see it like silhouetted in the moonlight. And I was like, you fucking asshole. I started picking up rocks and throwing it at it. And I saw it like jump off of the roof and like just start running, hauling ass, and it ran over to my neighbor's yard. And I was like, yeah, that's right, asshole. It's my
Your
house.
neighbors at that time were like, oh God, the alcoholic's outside throwing a fit again.
And then the next day, my neighbors sent me a text message. They were like, hey,
That's it. That's all they said.
they were like, they're like, yeah, we heard you outside, whatever. Like, they don't care. They know I'm weird, right? They're like, we heard you outside, and this morning we found this in our yard. They sent me a picture. It was a dead rat in their front yard. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck that happened. But that's the asshole that was in my room.
Awesome.
Like, that's the asshole that was eating my house.
He was crunk, crunk, crunk. Oh my God, that's great.
When I first moved into my house, I had a problem where there was a squirrel where every time it saw me, it would throw stuff at me.
Really?
Yeah, it's like if I would walk outside and the squirrel was in a tree, he would find like branches or like nuts or whatever to throw at me, and he would hit me.
How does a squirrel have an arm
Squirrels
to
are so
throw
skittish.
at you?
Because he's high, you know? He's just throwing down, essentially.
Oh, I thought you meant he was like sitting on your grass, like.
No, he's like up in the trees, like throwing shit at me. Then he tried to piss on me once.
What did you do to him?
I don't know. Like I never thought about this, but this squirrel, like I was like standing in my lawn, and all of a sudden like liquid started falling next to me, and I was like, what's that? And I look down and I look up, and there's a squirrel like squatting on a branch, like pissing down, like straight right next to me. I'm like, it's the fucking squirrel.
You're getting bullied.
Yeah. It must be dead now because it doesn't. I haven't seen it like a year.
Are squirrels a type of rodent?
Yeah, they're rodents. That's
So maybe it-
disgusting.
Guy's car. I'll put it up, Brandon. I'll send it to you.
Maybe it knew what you did to its brother, the rat.
This precedes the rat.
Oh, does it? Oh.
Yeah, I
This
don't know.
precedes the rat. I just like that statement unto itself.
I have like this community garden plot kind of close to my house that I go to, and I grow like fruits and vegetables and shit. And it's under a pecan tree, so every now and then like a pecan will fall into the soil, and like a little pecan tree will start sprouting. So the other day I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this pecan tree, I'm gonna plant it at my house. Like there's a tree I don't like, I'm gonna plant this pecan tree. It's tiny, it's like this big. And I'm in 20 years there's gonna be a pecan tree here.
Right.
Or 100 years or however long
That'll
it
be like
takes.
the mark on the earth.
Yeah.
Will be that tree.
So it's like I planted it, I started watering it, I was taking good care of it. I was like, yeah, it's taking, it's all green, it's gonna be awesome. Like a week after I planted it, I walked out and there was a fucking squirrel. He had ripped it out of the ground. He had bit off the stem, bit off the root, and just ate the nut that was like the seed. I was like, you fucking asshole. Like I walked out in the morning to come to work and like he stopped with it in his mouth and like turned to look at me. And I looked at him, I was like, what the fuck? And he just like, took off running. I was like, God damn.
Did you give chase?
Yeah, I chased him. Then he like ran up the tree immediately.
I didn't think you would actually
I was so fucking
I didn't think you would actually chase the squirrel.
I was so fucking angry.
Like, you just like
He crawled up the tree and I'm like,
Were you in like a bathrobe at the same time?
straight to the moon.
No, I was on my way to work, so like I had my backpack. So I'm sure I was like running like a fat kid down the street.
And then you were out of breath.
I'll
driving to
say
work.
this for like this.
So you know I've had this ongoing problem with this squirrel that's been harassing me at my house. So I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but this is stupid. Some birds moved into my mailbox. So I've got like
Bring
a
like
nest
luggage with them and
of
stuff?
birds in my mailbox. There's like 3 of them, and they've got some eggs. I don't know why it's 3. It's like I guess they're down with it, whatever. So I was over the weekend. I was trying to take a picture of them because they're really angry. Like now, when I try to pull my mail out of my
What
mailbox.
kind of mailbox? Do you have one of those house ones that's flat and
Yeah.
like up against? Okay.
Exactly. And whenever I go to like pull my mail out of my mailbox, they come out and they like spread their wings and look at me.
What's
they're
up,
like,
motherfucker?
yeah, they're like fronting. They're
They
like
make
trying to stare
themselves
me
look
down. Yeah. So the other day I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of them. I want to show everyone what they look like. So I was like, I'm sticking my phone in there, and I could see them. There's like 3 of them. They're in the corner, and I'm like trying to take a picture. And then I started hearing this weird noise behind me, like behind me and above me. And there's like a giant pecan tree right by my mailbox. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I turn around and I look up, and the squirrel is up there, and it's barking at me. I didn't know squirrels made noise.
I hear you. So that's a squirrel in the middle.
We can't really
there.
hear it here, but it's barking.
So like, what's it? I mean, it's like woof, like.
I was like, what the fuck? And he just barked at me the whole time as I was standing there looking at the birds.
I think maybe like the birds paid the squirrel to like keep, you know.
But the funny thing is, before the birds moved in, the squirrel used to live in there. Like the squirrel used to be in there all the time.
Maybe he's the landlord. Like he's like back to fuck off.
I always like scoop out all the sticks and shit he would put in there. Maybe he's just jealous. Anyway, so I left. I was going out. I ran an errand, whatever. I came back to my house, pulled in the driveway. And I'm like, there's that fucking squirrel. It's like on my front step, like right in front of the doormat of my house.
This thing's taking the piss.
And I'm like, well, look, what's it doing? It's taking a piss.
Oh, it was literally taking a piss.
Like right there on my front step, it was like squatted down. There's like piss going everywhere. I'm like, what? And he like took off running. I'm like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? So like now that concrete landing in front of
Estes Peaches, open the gates.
So that concrete landing in front of my front door like has this giant stain of squirrel piss now on the front.
That must be man. Because they're vermin, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like nasty vermin.
That's funny. Fucking squirrel.
I'm sure he wanted you to see it. He was like, I'm sure he like glared at you.
He's
It was
waiting.
like later.
He didn't even like run up the tree. He like ran around the side of it and was like peeking at me from the side. Like,
you know, this
wanted to see
company.
your reaction.
This company owns a crossbow now. You can borrow it.
when I was in Puerto Rico,
And it's gross.
one time I was on this like really remote beach. It was kind of close to my house, but I liked going there because it was hard to get to. There was never anybody there. So I went out there. I was by myself. The weather was kind of rough that day. So I was swimming. When I was done swimming, I started walking back to the shore. But the problem with this beach, and one of the other reasons there weren't very many people, is there was a lot of shallow rock if tide was low. So I'm walking back to the beach.
People wouldn't go on the beach because there was rocks?
It's like bad. Like really sharp, jagged rocks.
Oh, okay.
So I was snorkeling actually, and I saw these giant urchins, like this big, like basketballs.
Fuck that.
So I'm done swimming. I'm walking back to the shore, and I step on a fucking sea urchin.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I step on it with my right foot, and I fall, like face forward into the sharp, jagged rocks, and I land like on my hand and on my forearm. So my arm is just like shredded to ribbons. I've got fucking sea urchin spines in my right foot, and I'm like dragging myself out of the water, like onto the beach, and there's nobody around, like no help. I'm parked like literally like a mile away. I drag myself out of the ocean. I crawl up on the beach. I look, and there's a mongoose running by, and it like stops and it looks at me, and it just hisses. I'm like, this is my life. I'm gonna fucking die out here in the middle of nowhere. This mongoose is gonna watch me die. I had to get up and walk a fucking mile with sea urchin in my foot.
Did you not pull it out?
I couldn't. It was too deep.
Oh.
Like it had gone in and then just snapped off.
Every story that you've told me about Puerto Rico sounds exactly like that.
So when I was having my garage sale over the weekend,
I want to come back to that too, because you just
it's foaming up. I was standing in my driveway, and
did you tell everyone to leave your property?
I was to get off my property, and I kind of heard something, and then right over my head, like a foot or two, this giant hawk just flew right over me.
Really?
I was like, whoa, that was cool. And as I looked up, another one right over me, and they like landed in this tree like right across the street from my house. I was like, what the fuck? So now they've just been hanging out like for the past like 3 days, 4 days.
In your
Hawks have
tree?
landed.
There's just like 2 giant hawks, like not in my yard, but like right across the street. The great thing about that, hawks are these hawks are huge, right? It's kind of intimidating to look at them.
How big, like, compared to your head?
Bigger, way bigger than my head. They're like bigger than that nature box, like their body. But
way to work it in.
so they're hey, we'll talk about the nature box later. So they look intimidating. They look scary. Like, man, I bet that hawk could fuck me up. The best thing about there being hawks now, right across the street from my house, there are no more grackles, no more doves, like no more pigeons, nothing. Every other like
No
shit bird
mice.
is just taken off. I saw them eating a squirrel yesterday.
I was gonna say, what about the squirrel in your tree that chases
They
you
were
and
eating
mobs
a
you?
squirrel. I don't know if it was the squirrel, but like I was like, what's that hawk doing on the ground? Is it hurt? It's like doing like that. I was like, oh no, it's just ripping a squirrel to shreds
Oh my God.
and eating it.
Whoa.